Welcome to episode 98 of the Family Geekery podcast. I'm Danny.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're talking about X-Men #1.
X-Men issue #1 from 1991.
Wow, Family Geekery talking about X-Men?
Rare.
Not to be confused with all the other X-Men #1s over the years. But yeah, we this particular issue has been reissued recently with the Marvel's reissuing a lot of their key issues, and it's kind of neat because if you get it at the comic store, you can kind of look through it and see all the advertisements from, the 1990s and see all that kind of stuff. So we thought it'd be kind of neat with X-Men 97 kind of, hitting the highlights right now, and thought we'd go back and revisit a key issue like this for many different reasons. But before we do that,
Geeky Week.
Thank you, Danny.
You're welcome.
Who's got some Geeky Week stuff to start off?
I can start because you mentioned X-Men 97 and I'm very angry at that show.
Uh-oh.
I just caught up. So, without spoiling too much, my favorite character ever, Dazzler, showed up. And I'm like, ooh, yay, Dazzler. Just a cameo. Because apparently all she's good for is making light shows and entertaining and whatever. Okay, fine.
We all have our skills.
And then they kill her off.
What?
In the same episode.
Spoiler.
Yeah. So, so I'm angry about that. Because I was like, oh my gosh, Dazzler, yay. And then she died.
Got the highs and lows.
Along with some other folks. But, yeah. So that's not fun. Don't watch X-Men 97 episode 5 if you're a fan of Dazzler. But I've also been doing other things. It was my birthday. So
hey, happy birthday.
I did some fun stuff over the weekend. And that's really it. No time to be geeky because I was cleaning and hosting. So
adulting.
Yeah,
you're busy adulting.
It's fine.
I gave up on that years ago.
Obviously.
Don't try to hide it. Cool. How about you, Danny?
Well, I finished Private Practice, and the ending was weird, but,
Did Dazzler die?
Yeah, she did. Oh,
Damn.
Speaking of Dazzler, there's rumored that Sabrina Carpenter is going to be Dazzler. And the next Deadpool movie.
Cool.
Which
that'd be cool.
I support.
I also support. People were always saying, like, Taylor Swift. But, like,
No.
Is Taylor Swift really acting? No. Sabrina Carpenter is a good actress and a good singer, and she's pretty. She should be Dazzler.
She's such a pop star. Anyway,
what would I know her from?
Girl Meets World.
Girl Meets World.
The blonde one.
Okay. I think I know who that is.
Yeah. Big Disney Channel star. And now big mega superstar.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then since I finished Private Practice, I started Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Nice.
Because
the
same producers that do Walking Dead, so it has to be good, right? But
I would say Walking Dead was the same producers that did Breaking Bad.
No.
Breaking Bad came first, didn't it?
I still never finished that.
I started it, and I like it.
I might have to get my own Netflix account so I can watch on things other than my computer. I mean, what? We're totally not account sharing.
Nope.
Yeah, still one of the best character arcs in all of television history.
And then the next time you can meet Giancarlo Esposito, you can be like, wow, I loved you as the Chicken Man.
the Chicken Man.
and
Yep.
not as the magic mirror. You'll get it in
Yeah.
season 2-ish, I think.
Great show.
Yeah. But that's all for me.
Cool.
Okay, what about you?
Well, here's a little shocker for you guys. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually standing. No.
I'm on the toilet.
Well, then I hope you're
kidding.
sitting. I started playing Stardew Valley.
Yo.
Family Geekery Farm?
We should.
Maybe.
Who are you romancing?
Have
Have you also been seeing TikTok edits of Harvey and Haley?
No, I don't. I
No.
don't TikTok.
Oh, okay.
But I had it. I loaded it up on the Steam Deck and started playing it, and I had absolutely no clue what was going on. And I've avoided playing it for a long time because it's so beloved and everybody loves it. And I was afraid that it was going to be like a top-down version of Terraria, and I was going to have like Wikipedia open on another tab the whole time I'm
Oh,
playing.
you will though.
You do.
So I was kind of avoiding it because I didn't want to not fall in love with it. But I started playing it, and it's like I didn't know what was going on. Of course, it gives you a couple tasks to do at the beginning. I'm supposed to meet, I don't know, some ungodly amount of people that I haven't met yet. Like I don't know if they're hiding from me or what, or if I haven't
Yeah, they
unlocked
are.
certain areas.
That's what you need the wiki for, to know what their spring raining day schedule is.
Yeah.
I've got some dude that's trying to pawn his daughter off on me. Like, oh, you should hang out with my daughter because like you and her would, kick it off pretty good.
Pierre?
No, is
The
it the?
shopkeep?
No, is it the?
Oh, Demetrius?
Yeah,
Yeah, Maru.
yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'm just trying to raise my 15 beats or whatever they started me off with.
Parsnips.
Parsnips, yeah. But it's kind of neat. I've successfully farmed a couple things. I've gone down into the mine and broken some rocks and killed some slimes, and I'm not sure what I'm doing is new with the newest updates versus what would have been like OG. But all the same, I'm enjoying it. Still kind of lost, but they every now and then they send you a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, you really should be doing this." Like, okay, I guess I should be doing that. Like, I need to make a pen, which I didn't know. Hey, to raise animals, you need to make a pen or something like that. A coop.
Yeah.
You need to make a coop. So I built a coop, only to find out that I can't build a coop. I need to have,
A billion stone, a billion
you have to have
wood.
the carpenter build the coop. So here I am making gates and fences and built my own little pen on my farm
Like Minecraft.
just to find out that they actually have a coop in the store. So it's good. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I've not played with the newest update yet. I really should, but I don't know. I played it so much on one of my farms that I just kind of like completed the game and then didn't go back for the last big update, didn't go back for this update. So I really should.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get caught up in the whole min-max, of the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to min-max a little bit because, some of the gold requirements
Seasons exist.
are pretty high. But yeah, having fun with that. I've finished the Fallout series.
Good.
And I highly recommend everybody watch that. So many great callbacks to the games. So many little Easter eggs. It is a absolute phenomenon right now because I don't know if you've been tracking it, but like the Fallout games are in the top sellers right now.
Oh, nice.
I think both Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 are in the top played Steam games. And, we're talking about a 9-year-old game and maybe like a 15-year-old game.
Right.
But that's, if you look at like the top couple games on Steam, they're like 20-year-old games because it's like Dota and Call it, or what's the Team Fortress and stuff like that
Yeah.
are still some of the top games on Steam, considering they own those games, of course. But yeah, the Fallout phenomenon, I'm totally enjoying it, and going back and playing some of those old
I
games
can't
too.
wait for season 2 when they actually make it. See, this is just on me at this point for going back and catching up with recent shows. I need to be like Danny and only watch shows after they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's how I watched Breaking Bad originally. I didn't start watching it until I knew it was done. That way there's no surprises. Like you don't get invested in something and then
it just gets canceled or whatever.
right. Yeah. That's happened too many times.
Yeah.
Firefly.
Yeah. So let's talk about this comic book here.
Yeah.
So what did you guys know about X-Men issue number 1 before today?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Did you recognize at least the artwork, the cover art? Have you ever seen that before?
Now that you mention it, yeah, it does look familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is still the Guinness Book of World Record top-selling comic book of all time.
Wow.
Really?
They printed over 8 million copies, I believe.
Wow.
And when it came out, it had 5 different covers.
Oh, is this what this art page is?
That's what I
So
saw.
if you look at the long art page, that's 4 covers right there.
Hmm.
And then they call them like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. And then they had E. And E was...
all the characters on the next page?
It was a trifold.
Oh.
Where that whole... all 4 covers were on the one comic. So you could fold it out like a poster. And then on the inside of it was some of the other stuff that you see in there.
That's crazy.
And then inside each of the 4 comics was like I don't know, for lack of better terms, like a centerfold type thing, like something in the middle that was stapled in. And all the stuff that you saw at the end of this issue were those from the different comics.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the sketchbook and the swimsuit issue and stuff like that.
Just all the bonus art.
So this was, 1991. We had at the time Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man go absolutely crazy. Starting off with Spider-Man number 1, had Rob Liefeld's X-Force just started, which included like the X-Force number 1 was in a sealed plastic bag that had a trading card of one of the X-Force members in each one. So there's 5 different issues because there was 5 different trading cards, I think. So you have that kind of shenanigans going on. Marvel's just making these crazy, outlandish new issues in this 1990 to 91 series. And so every time they do something like this, everybody's like, oh, I need to get all 5 issues and I better get 3 copies of each one. So it's a pretty well-known fact that if you bought one, you bought like a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody bought just one issue of these things because, they're going to be worth millions someday. But they made so many of them that, they're not super valuable, but they still hold a warm place in everybody's heart that remembers all that phenomenon going on. I've got all 5 issues, bought them when they came out back in 1991.
Scalper.
I may have more than one issue of all 5 issues.
Scalper.
But yeah, I mean, it was crazy, and this was a combination of Chris Claremont, who had been doing
friend of the podcast.
Amber and I
we wish
met him at GalaxyCon, but he was, at the end of his 15-year run at Uncanny X-Men, which was the main storyline, Uncanny X-Men, before this X-Men started. And you've got Jim Lee, the artist, who also came from the X-Men series and many other things. So you got these 2 huge names. I don't know if you noticed when you looked in the front cover where they usually name the names, that their names are to the side, and then the penciler, the inker, and those people, the letterer, they're kind of also on the page.
Yeah.
And usually on comics, they're all together. But
Mhm.
this, I think it was just hey, these two rock stars are putting this book together. And, I think they wanted to set it apart that way, which is going to come back to bite Marvel in the butt. We'll talk about that in a little
Oh.
bit. But yeah, a lot of hype, a lot of pre-orders, and this thing drops, and it's unlike anything that people have seen before. And yeah, so that's what we read.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about? Let's talk before we talk anything about the story, because this, even though you got Chris Claremont, one of the best X-Men story writers ever, well, probably the best, and you got you got him writing, but this was definitely a art book. I don't know if you notice, like on the pages, there's always some kind of an anchor, like some big picture of
Yeah.
someone that
Mhm.
on any one of these pages, there's a picture that you could make a T-shirt out of, or a button,
Definitely.
or it would be on a Trapper Keeper or something back then.
Mhm.
So every page was like that. So what do you guys think about this art style?
It was just beautiful. Like, I don't know, it has that not to make you feel old, but it's got that like retro style that's which of course it does because it is retro. Um but it's like really cool looking. It's like pinnacle of comic book art in my opinion. Like
Mhm.
this is prime comic book art to me.
Yeah, and remember when we talked about X-Men '97, the show? Too soon, right, Amber?
Too soon.
Mhm.
The side eye that I just gave you under your blanket.
When we talked about that, I referred to sexy Magneto, and said that was definitely the style of Jim Lee of this time
Mhm.
Yeah.
frame. How he made everybody
Yeah.
super muscular and very sexy looking,
Yeah.
and he's considered one of the best artists of the female superheroes ever. Also, so that definitely has been emulated throughout the years ever since this time period. People have taken this style and kind of ran with it also.
Yeah. I mean, there is the sexy Magneto in this, so he's here
Buff
Mhm.
Magneto.
along with Psylocke posing in every every picture she's in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Chris Claremont um, helped kind of shape a lot of these characters. So Psylocke
Yeah.
is one of his that he shaped a lot. And were you going to say something, Danny?
Oh, I was just gonna say that like with Marvel comics now, there's so many different artists that like not a lot of them look the same, like with the different stories, but like back then like Marvel style was pretty like consistent, especially like during this time. So it's cool to like read one with the OG style.
Right, the OG in the '90s.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing that I noticed about this is you got, like I said, those big anchors on each page, but some of the smaller pictures that maybe don't have as much of the person in it. Maybe it's just like a background or a spaceship or something like that. It looks like, and I don't know if it's intentional, and I'm not saying that's he didn't put effort into it, but it looks like almost like I'm going to make the big picture for this panel, and then the other pictures are just going to kind of be there and not put as much detail into. And I don't know
Mhm.
if that's to juxtapose, the anchor piece on each page, or if it's just, hey, I got to put one of these issues out every month. I can't make
Yeah.
every panel perfect. But I'm hoping it was an intentional thing to focus your eyes on the big piece.
Mhm.
I mean, to be honest, I've seen lazier work in comics like recently
Oh yeah,
when
for
there
sure.
are like, not a billion people making each comic, but like digital art is a lot easier to work with, copy and paste stuff and stuff like that. But I don't know. I didn't notice
Yeah.
laziness or less detail in some. Um,
Yeah. Plus,
it
there's
was
so
just
much
all
on
cool.
each page.
Yeah, that was one thing that maybe annoyed me a little bit, was that there was a lot on every page.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I think that's because you got competing things going on here. You got the epitome of storytelling, and
mhm.
you got the epitome of art, and they're both trying to get, they're both trying to contribute.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of art and a lot of words going on at the
Yeah,
same
Mm-hmm.
time. A lot of dialogue in this book. I feel bad for the letterer.
right. Is the letterer the person who has to decide where to put the text? And like,
I'm going to assume so. I don't know anything about that. I'm
because
just pretending like I do.
I'd hate to be like, I mean, it's probably on the artist to be like, I'm gonna leave this area blank to, have that be room for the text. But then, like, what if there's too much text, or, you know, because
Right.
there's a lot of text. Like, what is the person, the organizer, have to like pick and choose what to cover up and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we've got in this issue, um, we got some story at the beginning that's kind of this. Now this is an issue number one, so you got to kind of expect someone coming into this doesn't need to know anything about what's happened in the past, right? I should be able to just pick up this book and start reading and enjoy it. And they did a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good job of that. There is some places where, if you've seen in comics before, you have the little editor's notes where it has a little asterisk and says, see
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk issue number 342 to understand this. Well, this one had none of that. And there was some
Right.
stuff that was left out, but I think they're just assuming that everybody had read the Uncanny series up to this point, at least in recent years. So we got a little bit of backstory that's has nothing to do with, the Uncanny series. You got a hijacked spaceship out in space. You got some people in there that are looking for asteroid M, looking for Magneto, and he's living in outer space because he's given up on humanity. Basically, did some bad things, went through a trial, and now he's just living his good life up on an asteroid that he's got cloaked up there. So they're looking for him using a stolen spaceship. Got some people chasing him because you're not supposed to steal a spaceship, and and he's like, "Hey, get out of my front yard! Like I came up here to get some peace, and you guys are fighting out here." And so he just kind of like blows them all up. Now he doesn't hurt the people; he just blows up the ships and then transports everybody to his asteroid so he can sort it all out and basically tell them, "Hey, you're going to go home and behave because I just want to have my peace up here." But the people in the stolen spaceship that we find out later are called the Acolytes. They're basically mutants that believe in his old ways of mutants deserve to be treated better and yada, yada, yada. So they're looking to him to say, hey, you should be our leader. And he's like, I gave up on that
I'm
crap.
retired.
Right. So you got that going on. It's about to start an international incident because they're fighting above Russia. And they're worried about some kind of retaliation and stuff. So they get uh, Nick Fury involved.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was like, I'm just so used to the movies that I was like, okay, person. And then they're like, Nicholas. And I'm like, who the heck is Nicholas?
Didn't the eye patch give it away?
No.
So yeah, this is always fun because for your guy's entire life, there's been like two buckets. You got the bucket of the Nick Fury and his Avengers, and then you got the bucket of the X-Men, and they don't cross paths, and eventually they
Yeah.
will. But it at the same time, everything that I grew up with, it was just one big happy family, right? The
Right.
huge Marvel universe. You could have Spider-Man popping in on a Wolverine story,
I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
and it's
Captain
just
America was in one of the episodes of X-Men 97 for some reason. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, he's the president's like, well, what are we going to do about this? And he's like, well, I've got an idea just in case. And then it cuts to now we get to see the X-Men. Basically, this is the beginning of what you would expect an X-Men comic to be, an X-Men #1 to be, where you start off with, showing all the people and they're fighting in
All
the
their
danger room or
powers.
something. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not quite the danger room, but it's basically the updated version of the danger room that that Professor X has brought back some alien technology from his excursion that he had just previous to this in the comics. And so yeah, we got basically this
Well,
is
do you know what that excursion was?
yeah, he went off with some aliens like the Shi'ar or something like that.
Okay, because they just randomly threw that into X-Men 97, and I was like, who the heck are these bird people?
Right. So remember X-Men 97, the first issue, they thought he was dead or something.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where he was.
yeah.
So I
I know
think he
that
came
now.
back with some technology and implemented that into the mansion.
That's funny. It's
And
interesting how kind of connected these are.
yeah, and I think this is the first time that we get the concept of two teams, like the blue team and the gold team,
Yeah.
where we have different members in each team, so that they can be, saving people in different parts. And
Because
it,
there's just about a billion of these mutants. Oh my
well,
goodness.
that and we can sell twice as many comics this way.
True.
So does it kind of like split off from here? Um like following the two different teams?
Yeah,
Or
because
do
you
they
still have the Uncanny X-Men going on at the same time, also.
Oh. So like some of them go in there and then some of them stay here.
Yeah. And then in recent years, I guess maybe 5 years ago or something, we had actual episode or actual titles called X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, X-Men Red, and X-Men. There's like a couple of them white. There's
Wow.
a whole bunch of teams. I guess if people keep buying them, they keep on making them.
I guess so.
But yeah, so now we got our big action sequence with the first team has to come and attack the mansion, and I think they're supposed to. What their mission is to like capture Professor X and Jean Grey.
Yeah.
So you got
It's like a
Rogue and
practice mission.
Archangel and Cyclops and Iceman, and then the people that are like overseeing this test is of course Cyclops and Storm and Bishop, who's helping out with the technology, and the Beast. So basically, the leaders are kind of testing these two teams to see how they can function together, and Professor X needs to see that they can, work as a team again.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some good action going on with that, and some. I like the story with the other team that comes in with Logan, Gambit, and Psylocke. They're that's a funnier little story because Gambit's always good for some comedy, and Logan's just Wolverine's just Wolverine. So
Right.
so they're coming in through the sewers, beating up on some robots that were part of the scenario. And what happens? Gambit gets to Jean Grey, and his way of attacking her is by kissing her.
Right.
And
Boom, she's a robot.
yeah, that was pretty cool. And then Wolverine, he's like, I know you're not a robot because I know your smell. He's a hunter, so
Weird.
he just about kills Professor X. He could have if he wanted to, but he snaps his claws right in his face, basically, and that upsets the leaders. And then the fact that Gambit kissed Cyclops' girlfriend or wife. I don't think it was wife at this time. She gets married. They get married in this series, but later on, I think.
Oh.
Um, he has a complete jealous rampage.
Big
But
truck.
it was, yeah, I'm
He was
going
a
to drop
big
a truck on you.
baby.
But it's very, very comedic. So that was probably my favorite part of the comic. So you would get the introduction of the two teams, And of course, just by the time that they get, teamed up,
Acquainted again. Yeah.
it's time to put them to the test because we need to go figure out what's going on in outer space with Magneto and the people that he
Nukes.
blew up and the nukes, the nukes that he's collecting just for fun, I guess.
It is the Cold War, I guess. Kind of.
Kind of. This is after the wall
Little
fell.
bit. Yeah.
But now we've got, I don't know, Night Robe Magneto
Yeah,
walking around.
Interesting choices there. Magneto in his retirement wearing some interesting silky outfits, I guess.
He's stylish.
He's
Yeah,
stylish.
he transported all these people to his house basically on this asteroid, and they're still fighting each other because you got the people who, the people who stole the spaceship and the people that were chasing the people who stole the spaceship. And it'd be like if you took two stray dogs that hated each other and just put them in your living room and like went off and took a shower and came back and they're fighting. Like, what were you expecting them to do? So he gets done with his shower, which I'm guessing he just went off to take a shower because he's got this nightgown on.
He's
And he's like,
creepy.
why are you guys still fighting? I bring you into my home and you're still fighting? So he gets upset. And now the X-Men are getting ready to get involved. They've got themselves a new Quinjet, Blackbird, that can go up into outer space. And as they're getting ready to come up there, Magneto takes a nuclear sub that he had sunk. So I don't know if you knew that part. He had sunk this sub.
There was a little bit of backstory for that. A little bit of explanation.
A little flashback. And all the people in the sub are dead, but somehow it didn't damage any of the nuclear warheads. So he's snatching the warheads out of this nuclear sub, and that can't be good. And the X-Men come and confront him, and they have a little battle. Magneto gets kind of his butt kicked into the sub where he sees all the dead bodies that he himself killed, and that kind of affected him a little bit. And
Rogue is like, So is the Rogue Magneto romance a thing in the comics also?
So yeah, it's, I don't know if I'd call it a romance. Maybe. I think, she's a little different in the sense that she's got these powers that, like, I don't think she ever wanted.
Right.
They're kind of a burden for her. So she has a different mindset than, someone like Cyclops who has these powers, but he knows how to use them for good. She's got these powers and they're basically a curse. So she's always been kind of
wishy-washy on which side she should be on.
I guess sensitive to both sides. So
yeah,
this does kind of follow that X-Men, 97.
So how does she fly?
Well, I don't know. She's really fast at it though.
Because like just watching, the movie Rogue is pretty much a different character entirely because I don't know.
Because flying on movies is expensive. Flying in comics is free. Storm
flies in the movies.
She can control the winds.
Magneto flies in the movies.
Yeah,
I just don't know enough about her to know why she flies. It's funny. And then she's super strong also.
Yeah, you're not supposed to ask these questions.
Okay. Should have asked our boy Chris.
Yeah. Except you couldn't call her by her team name. You'd have to call her by her first name because I don't know if you noticed that, but these are his friends, family, children. He refers to them as their given names. I think that's so cool.
Right.
How he has that kind of relationship with these fictional characters.
I just find it so funny in the comics, mostly how they're like, oh, Rogue, go do that. Cyclops, go do that. And then in movies and stuff, like every movie, it's like they're just using first names, kind of.
Right.
Like in the Avengers and stuff also. It's like they're all just so close and personal. Like, I guess they don't have secret identities, so it doesn't matter. So it's just kind of funny.
All right. So we got our little fight going on, and then we get into a little bit more of the acolytes, which all of a sudden all have team outfits on.
Yeah, because
Like,
if you missed it, a nuke went off and they're in Genosha now.
right. Well, I think Rogue ended up in Genosha, which
Yeah.
is historically in these series a very anti-mutant place. But I guess they've had a change of heart, a change of leadership,
Oh,
and now they're not
it's
anti-mutant, they're not
the mutant.
pro-mutant, but if
Really
a mutant can help them, then they want them to help them. So
interesting.
they've got Rogue, and I think they want her to help with whatever kind of issues they've got. But we've got these acolytes which are going crazy and going full tilt, but they've got their own superhero outfits on now, and we're gonna lead up to another fight with the X-Men, and we got some bad mutants with good powers, but of course no match for the X-Men. But they duel it out, and Magneto's still kind of torqued off because he just wants to have his peaceful retirement in his bathrobe. And it kind of leads us up to, the end of this issue.
Where Moira's like, "Uh-oh, I messed up."
Yeah, I'm not sure why she's saying it's her fault.
I feel like she dropped the nuke or something. I guess we'll just
Yeah,
have to read more to find out.
yeah. So
She's always been a goofy character to me, even in the movies. Like this random like CIA lady is just helping them out. That's cool.
right.
Thanks,
But
Moira.
so I included in with the issue that I sent you the insets from the different comics. So you got the one which is the
Yeah.
villains gallery. So these are all the villains that we know: Mr. Sinister, Juggernaut, Sabretooth. All those people.
Who's the little yellow-haired guy at the top left?
Oh,
I thought he looked goofy.
that may be. Is that the character that Kevin Bacon played?
Oh, really?
It may be that guy. I forget. He looks familiar though. Oh, you see
Kinda
Mojo in there
goofy.
too.
Yeah, Mojo.
And then one of the issues had the Blast from the Past, which has the old drawings, which is kind of neat to have Jim Lee draw all the old characters the way that they used to be drawn.
Oh
Marble
wait,
Girl
he
instead of
he
Jean
drew
Grey.
that.
Yeah, his sign there. Well,
Oh,
Jim Lee and then Scott Williams, I think, is the penciler
the
or
color.
inker or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Then
that
we've got,
supposed to be Beast with the feet?
yeah, that's what Beast used to look like in the
That's
original
crazy.
series. And then
Wow.
you had Marble Girl instead of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And then we've got the swimsuit issue. Now,
It reminds me of pool party skins in League of Legends, which
now
is not a bad thing.
you got to remember
Yeah.
the 90s. The 90s was a different time. Some of the things that happened in the 90s would not happen now. And one of those things is an actual issue from Marvel called the swimsuit issue.
Wait, really?
And it
What?
was
It's like the beach episode in animes.
It was Jim Lee. It was a full issue. Different, you got Storm and Rogue and Psylocke and everybody in swimsuits. Dudes too, of course, but so that was a thing, right? Not just
Can't believe
a
X-Men had a
promo.
beach episode.
It was a whole thing. And then the next one is
Wait, I love Colossus and Jubilee posing like
Yeah.
weightlifters. Like that's so funny.
yeah. Then next we got the one titled "Things to Come." So in this couple episodes later, we start to meet some of these new characters like Omega Red or Omega Red. So I don't know if was he in any of the movies? Omega Red. He's got kind of like cables that come out of his hands.
I don't know.
I think he was definitely in Contest of Champions. I don't know if you were still playing Danny at the time when he got introduced, but he's kind of a.
He was in X. He was mentioned in X2, but he was in Deadpool 2. That's what the wiki says. I don't remember Deadpool
I've seen
2.
that, but he's a character from Wolverine's past, I believe. So another character that's introduced into his very cryptic past that we all know so much but so little about.
Right.
And then you got a good picture there of Shatterstar, who becomes a pretty popular character, but I don't think ever fully realized. But
dang.
And then we get the sketchbook of Jim Lee kind of doing some of the sketching to see what some of these characters are going to look like. So that's kind of neat.
Looking real cool.
Now, this story arc that starts in this issue goes for 3 issues, before they start into a new one. At the end of those 3 issues, Chris Claremont is done.
Oh.
So he gets into some creative differences, and he parts ways at that point. So after 16 years, and he said he would have kept on writing forever if it wasn't for the creative differences. But
creative differences with who? Chris, spill the tea. I feel like he did, and I just don't remember.
we'll have to ask him when we have him on the show. But
if only.
So this is actually his last X-Men story arc for quite some time. He did come back later, I think like 10 years later into this particular comic, and wrote some more stories. But not only that, but we've got Jim Lee, who is becoming an absolute rock star.
Mm-hmm.
Got Todd McFarlane, who's becoming a rock star. And we got Rob Liefeld, which is coming a rock star.
Why do I think I know what's about to happen? When you say Todd McFarlane.
But the problem is that these guys are all drawing for Marvel. And Marvel owns their characters.
And Marvel makes the money.
Owns their artwork. And when you end up with, some of these pictures in this book here end up on T-shirts and Trapper Keepers and buttons, and they're not getting any compensation for that.
Yeah.
So they all get together and they start their own band.
Let's get the band back together.
So you get the 3 biggest names, and they recruit some of their friends. So they end up with 7, basically the top names in the comic book industry.
Dream team.
And they start Image Comics.
Nice.
So Image Comics had started off with, I think, a Jim Lee title called Young Bloods, which had this very same type of art style. And then Todd McFarlane started Spawn.
Right.
I think that was maybe the second title to come out of Image Comics. And when they formed this thing together, and I don't know how well it worked in the long run. I think some of them are still involved. But when they started this thing together, they said, hey, we're not going to mess with each other. We're going to own our stuff. Image is going to own nothing. We're going to own our own characters, and we're not going to do anything that would basically screw another artist, story-wise or art-wise or anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically a comic book company made from comic book creators instead of, business people. So that was, I don't think there's been super bands before where you get like a guitarist from this band and a singer from this band come together. But I don't think in any other industry has there been that level of talent all come together and form their own thing. So that was a pretty big deal for the time.
That's crazy.
So make sure if you're a big company, you've got a lot of talent there, make sure you take care of these guys. Or else they're going to unionize or something.
Right?
Then the Pinkertons come in. And I don't know what the Pinkertons do, but when they come in, it's never good.
Oh my gosh.
So what'd you think? You think it was a good comic?
Yeah. But right now I'm distracted because I'm looking at Image Comics, and Image made Invincible. And
Yes.
Invincible was made by Robert Kirkman.
Yep.
So I need to start watching Invincible.
Image did Walking Dead too, right?
Did they?
I think they did.
No.
But yeah, so this comic, like I said, a lot of hype when it came out. I think in the long run, it's not as beloved of a story, but
But
it was
the covers are cool.
it was definitely an art piece,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it'll go down in history as being as that silly comic with 5 different covers. That nowadays, like, that's an everyday thing. Like, go to the comic book store and look at The Walking Dead, and there's about 7 issues across the rack that all make one big picture.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's just how you sell more books.
Yeah, that's how you sell more books. Capitalism. It's a recurring theme on this podcast. Woohoo! Well, cool. You guys enjoyed getting a little history lesson from this issue?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. There was a lot behind it that we didn't know because we didn't exist.
True. Surprise.
Not.
Born in the wrong time again.
Yep. But that's what Family Geekery is for.
Yeah.
Sharing the past with the future.
Yeah. Just like I get to share with you that Dazzler's dead.
Nice. Now we know the future. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. You guys have anything else?
No?
Nope.
All right. Well, dear listeners, dear readers, let us know what you think about X-Men #1. Have you ever read it? Do you own 57 copies like I do?
Scalper.
Yeah, let us know. Family Geekery, podcast at familygeekery.com. Tell us what you think about X-Men #1. Did Marvel jump the shark with these issues, with these things? Because it didn't get any better after this as far as like merchandising. It only got worse and worse. But us suckers still keep on buying stuff.
Until Nuka-Cola comes around and the nukes come and capitalism is vault tech.
And we do
Boom.
cousin stuff.
Oh my god.
Is it Nuka-Cola or is it Joja-Cola that we need to be afraid of?
Joja Mart. Down with Joja Mart.
All right. Well, thank you as always for listening. Be sure to check out the socials, check out the YouTube channel, see what's going on there. And until next time,
Peace
out
and geek out.
Geek out.
Thank you for listening to the Family Geekery podcast. For more information, visit www.familygeekery.com. Don't forget to subscribe at your favorite podcast provider. And until next time, peace out and geek out.